Hello, students. Welcome once again in the third part of this video series on the poem A Grammarian's Funeral by Robert Browning. Today, we will resume the poem from the stanzas until where we have finished from the last video. First, I will read out the text and then we will discuss what Robert Browning is saying, expressing through this poem. And if you have any queries or suggestions or questions, you can write in the comment box and I will try to explain them. In the following stanza, the poet says, "Oh, if we draw a circle premature, heedless of far gain, greedy for quick returns of profit, sure bad is our bargain. Was it not great? Did not he throw on God? He loves the burthen. God's task to make the heavenly period perfect the earthen. Did not he magnify the mind, show clear just what it all meant?" So, in these lines, the disciple is saying how his master, the grammarian, was looking for the heavenly gains, for the preparing for the next life, as he was not in the favor of believing that this life is finished after the death. They believe in a life when the person after his death reaches to God. There also his whatever he has done in on the earth will be will be uh, will start again. So he says that, oh, if we draw a circle premature, heedless of our gain, if we draw a circle premature or premature, draw a circle means if we aim prematurely without without looking for the far gain, if we draw a circle according to our present state, then our bargain will be very bad. Greedy for quick returns of profit, if we become greedy of the of a very quick profit, sure bad is our bargain. The poet is saying then that state, that bargain will be very bad, because this life is not what finished at only the things we can perceive now. It is much beyond that, it is much far bigger than this life. So if we prematurely or without thinking about the whole organic unity of this life, which finishes, as the poet believes or as this grammarian believes, that it is much much bigger than this. So was it not great? Did he did he throw on God? He loves the burden. He says that, was it not great? In a rhetorical question says that it was a great thing. He threw his burden on the God, that I am doing my job, and whatever is to be done of this knowledge or this things I am acquiring, I throw my burden on the God. He loves the burden. God's task to make the heavenly period perfect the earthen. It is the task of the God. It is the duty of the God to make the heavenly period perfect, the period which has been lived by the man on the earth. Did he did not he magnify the mind, show clear just what it all meant? He says that the disciple is saying that his mind was magnified. He has magnified the scope, the horizon of his mind, and he was very clear what he wants from this life. So he was not living a life of an ordinary man, the common man of this village, who were living a life of materialistic approach and wanted the daily security in their life. He was not looking for all these things. So So this place is becoming improper for his burial, the burial of the dead body of their master. He would not discount life as fools do here, paid by installment. He ventured neck or nothing, heaven's success found or earth's failure. Wilt thou trust death or not? He answered yes, hence with life's failure. That low man seeks a little thing to do, says it and does it. This high man with a great thing to pursue dies ere he knows it. That low man goes on adding one to one, his hundreds soon hit. This high man's aiming at a million, misses an unit. The grammarian was not ready to reduce the ultimate value of his life by accepting small installment of earthly pleasures as rewards. He says that only foolish people alone wish this thing. He considered life as a whole, an organic unity. He wanted at one stroke to win the supreme reward for his effort or losing everything, neck or nothing. He would be ready to wait for his reward even till his next life. He denied himself earthly rewards because he wanted to gain the largest, the highest reward in heaven. If there was a heaven, he would gain everything. If there was no heaven, he would lose everything, including earthly joys. He staked for absolute success or complete failure. But of course, the grammarian did not fear to risk complete failure on earth because he was sure of being fully rewarded in heaven. Asked if he trusted death to lead him to another life, he replied with conviction that he did. The attractions of this earth seemed lackluster and pale in comparison with the valuable life which heaven held. In these lines, we get Browning's firm conviction in the immortality of man's soul, in God's benevolence, and that effort never get wasted. In these lines, a distinction is drawn between the ordinary man and the great man. The average man has some small aim and accomplishes it, and thus achieves what is called success. But a great man like the grammarian sets before himself an immensely higher aim and may just fail to achieve it. This may be called failure, as he has missed his mark. Limited aims can be easily visualized and thus achieved with a little effort. But the ideals of great men are too lofty. Indeed, these men die even before clearly visualizing their goal. The poet illustrates his point. A low man goes on adding one to one and soon reaches his small goal of 100. The great man aims at 1 million. His ambitions are high, and in spite of great efforts, he fails to reach it by a unit. He dies before he can accomplish his lofty aims. From the worldly point of view, the low man has achieved success, while men with the grammarian have failed. But it is obvious as to which is the nobler achievement. The line conveys the basic tenet of Browning's philosophy that lofty aims and intense efforts matter, not material success. Efforts are bound to be rewarded ultimately. In the next stanza, the poet poet reads, "That has the world here. Should he need the next, let the world mind him. This throw himself on God, and unperplexed seeking shall find him. So with the throttling hand of death at strife, ground he at grammar. Still through the rattle, parts of speech were rife. While he could stammer, he settled haughty's business, let it be, properly based on, gave us the doctrine of the eclectic day, Dead from the waist down. Well, here's the platform, here's the proper place. Hail to your Perulius. The poet says, a worldly man with small material aim puts all his reliance on earthly success. He strives and achieves easy worldly success, but he can have no expectation of reward in the next life, as he has never bothered to think of it. Let this world take care of his rewards. A noble man like the grammarian, however, leaves his faith in the hands of God. His noble aims cannot be achieved in this life, but he trusts God's and continues his work undaunted and untroubled by doubts or uncertainties, insecurities. He does not care if he has failed by the worldly standards. He searches for God with courage and faith, ultimately finds him. He is rewarded by God. The dead grammarian had unflinching faith in God and continued his work calmly. He continued to work hard at the complexities of the grammar even when he was struggling with the hands of death, which were at his throat, slowly choking out his breath, till the very last moment of his life. Even as the death rattle was about to be heard, the grammarian's unflattering voice discussed parts of speech. Even though he could hardly speak and could only mutter words in a broken manner, he removed the confusion regarding the use of hoti and aun, the Greek part- particles meaning because and therefore. He developed and explained his theory about the eclectic D, even when he had been paralyzed from waist down. Though immobilized by disease and at death's door, he worked at the principles of grammar. Browning's praise is for whole-hearted effort which is made regardless of earthly rewards. Horty's business is an instance of Browning's obscurity, for the phrase is not clear at first sight. It could easily mean the problem of a person called Hoti. In the next stanza, the poet says, all ye high flyers of the feathered race, swallows and curlews, here's the top peak, the multitude below live, for they can there. This man decided not to live but no, bury this man there. Here's his place, where meteors shoot, clouds form, lightning are loosened, stars come and go, let joy break with the storm. Peace let the dew send. Lofty designs must close in loft like effects. Lofty lying. Leave him still loftier than the world suspects, living and dying. So, in the concluding stanza, the funeral party has reached the top of the mountain where there is a piece of flat open ground. This say the speaker is the This, says the speaker, is the right place to bury the dead scholar. It is a place visited and haunted by the swallows, curlews, and other flying birds. It is a suitable place to bury the great grammarian whose ideals soared aloft like the high flying birds. The low lying dark plains are the appropriate living place for common masses who are ignorant, unenlightened, and have no high ideals and aims. The grammarian had soared high in the realm of knowledge. He had to be buried on the lofty mountain peak and not in the plains. The mountain peak is where shooting stars are seen and where clouds form themselves. Lightning is released here from the clouds and flashes, and stars appear in the evening and disappear in the morning. Joyful impulses sweep over this spot where a storm breaks out. The dewdrops will bring peace and serenity. It is a place where the forces of nature and heavenly glories are at grand play. Its lofty grandeur harmonies with the sublime soul of the grammarian. His noble career must find an end in the sublime manner. He will be buried on the lofty peak, and he will lie there in splendor. While he lived, people could never appreciate his devotion to study at the cost of enjoying life. Now that he is dead, ordinary people still cannot recognize his true greatness. For he will be rewarded only in heaven. Both in life and death, his true greatness could not be fully imagined by the crowd of average humanity. The burial place becomes the symbol of a life spent in unrelaxing effort to attain sublimity. Thus, the funeral march is a pageant of victory. So, we have finished this poem, A Grammarian's Funeral. And if you have any queries related to this poem from any part, you can just write me in the comment box or you can send me message directly. Okay, thank you.